Day 15 of the Silent Hill 2 remake cam hack playthrough. We're still in Brookhaven. There's been a lot of stuff to look at in Brookhaven. Brookhaven has taken us quite a while, just because there's so much detail. Yeah, you did. Da boy Bob, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for the support. We've got 2 out of 3 on our patient wristbands. We've got our cleaned up radiograph to go put on the X-ray machine. We're heading back up to the 3rd floor to the X-ray viewer. Get that combination lock code. Should mod the TV to play random Ascension clips. Hey, if somebody makes the mod, I'll install it. Game audio is still a little bit loud. Loud sound warning. I'm going to test the gunshot to see how loud this is on my mixer. Yeah, let's turn that down a bit. Let's turn that down a little bit. Where did we leave off at? We are still in Brookhaven. We're just placing down these X-rays. So we can get us a code. This is such a Homecoming downpour-esque puzzle. Homecoming has literally an X-ray puzzle. Not quite this complex. You just have to find 2 X-rays and put them on the thing that side by side to get the answer. And then Downpour has a puzzle not with X-rays but with envelopes and scraps of paper where you have to rotate them and lay them on top of each other in a particular order in order to get a code that's written across all of them. $437.12. James writes it down on the map. $437.12. I'm glad he writes it just in case you're not sure if that's like a 7 or a 1. A lot of times the digits can be very similar to each other. You get back down there. And I've already forgotten it. 4:37:12. I keep rotating past it. I swear I know how combination locks work. Kolesny? Cole? SNE? Welcome back. Thank you so much for the 4 months. Very much appreciate it. What happened to the VODs? What do you mean, what happened to the VODs? Can you be more specific? The VODs should still be there. Twitch automatically purges past broadcasts after a certain amount of time. They also, back in April, did a huge change to the VOD storage for channels, because I had like almost 2,000 hours worth of videos saved from the last decade of streaming. And Twitch decided that 100 hours should be the maximum that channels are allowed to save on their highlights and stuff. So, I mean, the playthroughs of Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, etc., yeah. Those are all gone now. That was Twitch. Twitch decided that only 100 hours was allowed to be saved, and I had almost 2,000 hours worth of VODs. So they're all on YouTube now. Just YouTube at NubZombie and at NubZombie Archives. I can actually grab you some links real quick. But yeah, if you preferred the Twitch VODs to YouTube, I'm sorry, those are gone. I said that was just a very stupid decision on Twitch's part. But yeah, basically every streamer had all of our VOD storage removed or excessively reduced. So I had to remove a bunch of VODs. Twitch was going to remove them anyway. But everything is archived on those 2 channels. I specifically made the second channel, the NubZombie Archives channel, when Twitch was making all those changes. So that's where pretty much everything is going to be archived, and then the main channel is still Silent Hill focused, along with all of my edited videos, stuff like the icebergs and things like that will still be on the main channel. Second channel is just for all the raw stream archives. Deverin, thank you so much for the 42 months. Welcome back. Thought the Twitch VOD's life expectancy was 3 months. Didn't know about the total length of all VODs. So here's the thing. Past broadcasts, they only last for 3 months. But I didn't save my streams only as past broadcasts. So for like over 10 years, what I would do is I would highlight the entire stream. So if I did a 20-hour story playthrough, I made a 20-hour highlight of that whole stream. so that it was not subjected to that 3-month timeline. It would just stay there forever. Well, for many years anyway. That's what pretty much every good streamer on Twitch does. You highlight your entire stream so that you can save it, so that it extends past that 3-month timeline that the past broadcasts are subjected to. So all of my story playthroughs, all of my first playthroughs, everything that I did on this channel over the years was all saved as highlights. And then Twitch this past April said only 100 hours per channel. Even for partners, only 100 hours per channel. And like I said, I had like almost 2,000 hours. There was no reasonable way that I could like reduce that down to 100. So I had to make the second YouTube channel and just re-upload everything. It was a huge amount of effort on my part to save and back up all of those years and years worth of playthroughs and upload them all to YouTube. So if you enjoy those, if you miss those VODs, please go subscribe to the Nub Zombie Archives channel. Twitch has been really dropping the ball lately. Yeah, that's kind of been their MO for quite a while now. They spend all their time developing features that nobody really wants or asks for, and start ripping apart features that people actually use without really thinking about it. So, it's very unfortunate. Strawberry cheesecake. Seen this around in a few other spots. Why won't you also stream on YouTube? Because I've just never done it before. So I literally don't have anything set up to do that. At some point, I will probably go through the effort of getting that all situated, but that also means like a whole secondary chat that I'll have to keep up with. I'll have to get moderators to keep up with that. I'll have to learn how all of that works because it's different from Twitch. So could you add Nub Zombie Archives in the description of the main channel? In the description of the main YouTube channel, literally scroll down. There is a part on the main channel where there is featured channels. And there are 2 featured channels. One is Restless Dreams, which was a fan-made channel before I used YouTube myself. One of our fans, one of my viewers, Dorian House, would save the streams and upload them to YouTube. So the Restless Dreams channel is linked there, as well as the archive channel. Streaming on YouTube sucks. The video quality is so bad, which is weird because I've noticed that for some people, like I guess a lot of it is because of just your settings or whatever software people might be using. Because there's a few people who I watch stream on YouTube sometimes, And YouTube theoretically allows for higher resolution and higher bit rate with their infrastructure compared to Twitch. So you should theoretically be able to get a higher quality stream out of it. But even with the higher settings, there's a lot of people who I watch them on Twitch and I watch them on YouTube, and their YouTube stream looks like garbage. And I'm not sure why that is. Like I said, I haven't really tried going through that process just yet. So I don't really know myself, which is one of the reasons why I haven't gotten around to doing it. I'm of the mindset of don't break something that is already working. And I've been using the same software, OBS, to stream on the same platform, Twitch, for over a decade now. So I like James's reaction there. Again, we have these moments where James is like reacting to stuff. He like covers his mouth. He's disgusted by it. He kind of reacts as though like maybe it smells bad. And I want to call back to one of the notes we found at the very beginning of the game, where it says that the creatures, the manifestations, look like they should stink, but they don't. Which, to me, is kind of an indicator of like, okay, things that are manifested, even though they're physical, even though they're real, because they are being manifested from your subconscious, they lack certain sensory aspects, like smell. Whereas other things, like this, James, like, fully reacts to it as though it smells bad. Or, at the very least, it's something just disgusting to him. It causes him to sort of reel back for a moment. Here's our brand band. Our final patient bracelet. Filthy bracelet. Discovered you years ago thanks to Restless Dreams. Yeah, Restless Dreams, the channel run by Dorian, was a huge help. A lot of people who wouldn't have been able to watch my stuff otherwise, or at least not as conveniently, were still able to watch me or discover the channel through those re-uploads. So yeah, big thanks to Dorian and the Restless Dreams channel for doing that. And that's kind of a whole long story, because I did have a YouTube channel before that. A lot of people who've been following for a very long time might remember my first YouTube channel. Which was not very large or anything, but we kind of built up a following, and I deleted it because YouTube changed their policies when everything was basically linked to your Google account. And YouTube basically had some fine print in their policies that says, like, if you get strikes against your YouTube channel, they could suspend all of your Google account and everything else that is linked to it. So, like, Google Docs, your email, everything. You could get locked out of it if you got strikes against you on YouTube. And there was a huge wave happening at that time of false reports, and it's still happening, but false reports and false copyright claims made by scammer channels. Because it's very, very easy to scam shit on YouTube. Like, for example, it happens to a lot of my Silent Hill videos. A lot of them that you're seeing ads on, I'm not actually getting that ad revenue. It's because some random no-name musician, quote-unquote musician, uploads a video where they sample like a few seconds of Silent Hill music or a little bit of Silent Hill dialogue, and they throw it into like an AI-generated song, and they copyright that song. And it's just enough for the AI algorithm stuff that sweeps through your YouTube channel to check for copyright infringement. So, for example, I had this issue happen with the iceberg video. There was a person who did that, and they sampled the dialogue, James's voice, from the In Water ending. So when I used a clip of the In Water ending in the iceberg, they were like, oh, you're using this person's song. Which, of course, is so backwards, but that's how it works. They sample something that is very common and very widely used, usually video game stuff. And any other video game gameplay that has that audio gets flagged as using their song, quote unquote, song. So I did not want to risk having my Google everything, email, docs, all of that get locked out because some douchebag sampled, 12 seconds of Silent Hill audio and flagged every one of my videos, which is a thing that has happened in the past. So I deleted my YouTube channel. I made an announcement about it. I pointed out why I was doing it. Unfortunately, not everybody saw that announcement back when that happened. So yeah, that wound up being a problem. So I didn't want to deal with YouTube at all when that was going on. And that's when Dorian House was like, hey, I'm a fan. I've watched your stuff for a long time. Can I just re-upload your streams to archive them for people who want to watch on YouTube? And that way you're not risking your own YouTube and Google associated accounts. So I was like, sure, that's fine by me. Just as long as you credit me and don't try to pass it off as your own stuff, that's all I ask for. So that's what Dorian did. So that's how the Restless Dreams channel came to be. And then YouTube changed that policy. So I remade a YouTube account. So now I've got the official Nub Zombie YouTube channel, as well as the archive channel that I made a few months ago when Twitch decided no more VOD hosting. No more only 100 hours of highlights and VODs were allowed to be saved on the channel when I had almost 2,000. So made an archive channel to put all that stuff somewhere since Twitch was just going to remove it. Hi Nub, longtime friend of the channel since like 2020. New name because I'm streaming now. Hope the walkthrough's going great. Hey, Grove Sleeper. Thank you for the raid, and welcome back with the new name. Hope you're doing well. Whoops. Wait, is this the one? We gotta zoom in. There we go. Zoomed out camera perspective makes some of these puzzles a little more difficult. And Grove Sleeper, thank you so much for the sub. Very much appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you. Line up the cuts. Line up the drips off of the filthy one. And the scratch marks, sketch marks on the other thing. Very fun little visual puzzle there. Just making all of this line up. Thought that looked oddly zoomed out? Yeah. It's because whenever I use the camera mod and move stuff around and like zoom in or zoom out with the FOV, if I zoom way out while I'm looking at something and then go back to gameplay, we keep that zoomed out FOV. Just like this. So if I look at stuff and zoom way in, and then go back to gameplay, we're now zoomed way in. So I kind of have to like keep trying to reset it approximately after every time we look at stuff. And sometimes it's a little more zoomed out or zoomed in than it should be. So you'll go to interact with a puzzle, and it's expecting your camera to be a lot closer. It's a little finicky. Is there no input to reset the camera to default? Not with the FOV. Like, so there's a button to reset the camera position, and like if I turn it and move it, I can press R and it resets it to like here. But if I go back into the gameplay, the FOV will still be zoomed in or zoomed out. It's a little quirky. As said, there's definitely some different camera mods out there. I didn't really try and test a whole bunch of different ones. I just kind of got this one. This was the most straightforward, and it worked for what I was trying to do. And at this point, we're so far into the playthrough, I'm not going to try modding the game and switching stuff. And so for future playthroughs, I might use a different mod that has a little bit better functionality to it. But it's fine. Just a little quirky. Now we've got the director's storage room key. Does Silent Hill 2 Remake have extra hard puzzle difficulty like the original one? No. It only has your light, standard, and hard. No extra. No unlockable extra. For those who don't know, in the original Silent Hill 2, if you sequentially did each puzzle difficulty, so if you did easy and then normal and then hard, you could unlock a fourth extra puzzle difficulty, which was like even harder. Added some new elements to all of the puzzles. That's what added the reverse side to the coin puzzle in the apartment, the original coin puzzle. So OG Silent Hill 2 had extra riddle. This one does not. They decided to leave that out for Remake. Guessing still no light bulbs? Still no light bulbs. Da boy. Lateral view of human head. There's a dog ending though, right? There is a dog ending. We've got the dog ending key, in fact. Drawings depicting electroshock therapy, along with vintage photos, vintage medical photos, although that is not the procedure that was being performed there, I'm fairly certain. Yep. So, giving us some foreshadowing to one of the puzzles we're going to need to solve in Brookhaven's Otherworld. Effectively recreating this lobotomy procedure. Without Buff James, I think, and the song is gone. Yeah, there's some stuff like that that's missing. You don't get the, like, blooper reel. In the OG Silent Hill 2 dog ending, you get, like, a blooper reel with a bunch of silly pictures of all the characters, and Buff James and Maria in lingerie and that kind of stuff. That is not in the remake version of the dog ending. Their version of the dog ending is a bit different. Used to be very different. One of the things that we'll do at some point in the future is downpatch to the 1.0 version of Silent Hill 2 Remake. Because a lot of the cutscenes are different. The dog ending, for example, is one of the most different. It was very different originally, and then they changed it for a patch on like day one. So there were some cutscenes where the lighting is different and the camera angles are different. Like Angela on the staircase and the burning staircase. So Silent Hill 2 Remake 1.0 is very different from the version we're playing with all of the patches that have released since then. Not very different. That might be overstating it a bit, but cutscenes and stuff look different. The game was changed. Some character models, enemy models were slightly changed. And like I said, cutscenes, you have some different like cinematography. So that's one of my plans to do in the future. Now that I've done several playthroughs of the remake, kind of post-patch, and I'm familiar enough with it, we can, at some point in the future, do a 1.0 version playthrough. And just sort of take note of all the little changes. It's one of the things that I might do a second cam hack playthrough as well, because there's a lot of these things in the environment that are sort of like low poly or blurry or smudged, and some of these assets may have looked different in the 1.0 version of the game. Hey, pierogi recipes. But like, for example, they released some optimization patches to try to help with all of the people who were having issues with stuttering and things like that. So those patches may have reduced the quality or straight up removed some of these environmental assets in order to make the rest of the game run better. So it might be worth doing a down patch playthrough and another cam hack just to see if that was the case. Here's our save button. Let's go ahead and grab that. We got fancy fingers. Pinky is out. A very low-res texture compared to everything else. Oh yeah, and somebody asked about the fingernails. James has had dirty fingernails on his right hand ever since the reaching into the toilet scene. But his left hand nails are still clean. That will change as the game goes on. Character models will update and become dirtier. His face gets more and more tired and worn. Stubble grows out a bit more. So periodically we're still checking out the character models to see when stuff changes. They really try to simplify this for easy mode. But it should still be the same, the same actual solution, or whatever you want to call it, code key. And it's always funny because whenever this comes up, during my first playthrough of this game, I just took a picture. And I've still got the picture on my phone. So I can just pull that up whenever I need the reference. And James writes it down. He puts it on the map. But I like being able to just glance down at my phone and see it. Repeated photos. Same images and newspaper stuff. The boy Bob, thank you so much for another 100 bits. Thank you, thank you. Very much appreciate that. Art. Never noticed the very tiny little text at the bottom of the poster that just says heart. For the medical diagram. Got taxidermied bird. Sort of low poly. Did you notice the wall charts for the 3 patients correspond to the quests in the Otherworld? Yes. Could have sworn I just said that when we looked at it. Foreshadowing to the puzzle for the Otherworld. But yeah, it actually tells you it's even numbered 1, 2, and 3. So you've got your 3 patients that you've been finding the notes for. You find your original notes describing each of the patients and their systems in the Brookhaven director's office next to the desk. First patient, you have everything here showing the electroshock therapy, which is one of the things we're going to be sort of recreating. Each of these quote-unquote methods of healing. 2, you've got the lobotomy. Am I thinking of the right word? Yeah. Okay. Every time I say it, I'm like, am I saying the right procedure name? I'm not a doctor. Start second guessing myself. And then 3rd patient. And see, there's the tent, the little, like, what I called the 6th sense medical tent earlier when we were exploring it, with the pills, where we're going to have to count these particular pills and take note of the time and the light. It's weird that it's a bunch of sort of repeated files and papers. They're not like super unique. We've seen the same electrocardiogram and all of that stuff around. Some of these are unique, like these showing the lobotomy tools, which look almost like concept art. It kind of looks like it might just be like a medical drawing or something that they took and used, but the way it's drawn and shaded. Like, to me, it looks like concept art for like making the in-game props. The chair that the mannequin is going to be sitting in. Yeah, this was one of the patient notes. Several things sort of layered on top of each other, all the writing. Bathing required, forced feeding and hydration. Sleep medication, constant surveillance. That's what he says. He says it's not an illness. The word how circled. I cannot agree with him. But I'm a doctor. This is similar to one of the notes that you find in the original. I think we find a variation of that same note here in Brookhaven as well in the remake. The old, why must we drag him painfully into the world of our reality? Talking about Joseph Barkin in his delusional state. But he's happy in his delusion. So kind of that idea from a doctor's perspective. They say in the original note, I'm a doctor, not a philosopher. So they're sort of trying to deal with that confliction of, are we medically healing this person by pulling them painfully, making them aware of reality if they're happy in their delusion? Are we really healing them? One of those things that is just interesting that they kind of address that to some degree in the original Silent Hill 2, and there's a lot more implication of that going on in the remake. Kind of the moral struggle with the doctors becoming obsessed with healing, even if it's something that might not necessarily be benefiting the patient overall. So many things piled up in here. I think we've looked at just about everything we can really see. But I'm trying to be really thorough before we move on. I mean, without a doubt, I'm going to miss things, even as slow as I try to take it. And as much as I try to look at with the camera mod and everything, I'm still gonna miss things. I'm still not gonna find everything that's there. But that's pretty much it for like the main pictures, posters, notes, books. Got our pierogi recipes. Low poly taxidermied bird. Bronze deer statue. Old Polish whiskey bottles. Sean cigarettes. All these kind of assets and things we've seen already. Let's see, and now we're zoomed in a little bit further, or a little bit closer than we're supposed to be. Sorry, my brain is just not working right anymore. I'm trying to talk to you guys and explain things, but I'm a bit exhausted today. $92, $45, $71. To zoom out. $92, $45, $71. Pull up my notes. My picture on my phone. Are the items already rendered in? Like the stuff inside? Yes. We actually looked at that on a previous playthrough, or a previous part of this playthrough. The rooftop key and the note that you get when you open this are already there. $92, $45, $71. God damn it. Yeah, a camera reset would be nice for these kind of things. So 92. $45. 71. See, I took the picture with my phone of the thing to solve it. What I should just do is keep this in my notes, because it's the same on every difficult, I believe. Every puzzle difficulty has the same solution for this puzzle. Pretty sure the numbers and symbols do not change, so. Notes for when I start speedrunning. Their images became blurry, melting together. I could no longer tell. Not sure if I can do it, but maybe you can. This will take you to where you need to be, though probably not the way you want to. Also some foreshadowing to Pyramid Head knocking us down from the roof. Taking us where we need to go, but not exactly the way we want to go. And there's bound to be some pain involved. There always is. Yeah, I bet it hurts when Pyramid Head throws you through the roof. I mean, it's a little different compared to the original, when he would knock you through the fence. But we'll be able to look at the fence, which is already up there. It's one of the little memories of the past, flashback moments. The remake, anytime the remake really significantly changes an event in the game, or a puzzle, or anything like that compared to the original, they usually still reference the original with one of those, like, flashback moments. The remnants of the past, or memories of the past. Seven, symbol from Maria's bracelet. Is it? Is it the exact same? Similar. Hold on. I can actually quickly check this because it's one of my thumbnails. Yeah, not exactly. It's not exactly the Lilith symbol. Oh, look at that. You can actually see the when we were clipped in there. Of course, now I'm not going to be able to... Yeah, you can see the dial. It's like a physical dial. It doesn't just change the symbol that's facing out. They're all there. It just rotates into place. I do like the way that a lot of their puzzles are set up that way. Like, they're rendered in a sort of logical, physical way. A lot of video games will not do that. Man, even the, like, lock mechanism and stuff is rendered in there. A lot of games will not do that. You wouldn't need to make an entire, like, wheel with each symbol on it that physically turns. You would just need to have an animation and then swap in and out the asset of whichever symbol is facing out. But they actually make all of this stuff in-game sort of work practically, which is a nice touch. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. Like I said, I'm running on very little sleep. And I'm kind of exhausted after having to do some yard work and stuff for my parent-in-laws. All right, let's go to the roof. Blueber killed it with the hotel. Don't think you lose health when Pyramid Head knocks you down, if I recall, in the remake. No, the remake does not actually hurt you. The whole thing with Pyramid Head. In the original game, it would actually take your health down so that you were 2 hits away from death. Which, I guess it would basically put you at like 1 HP essentially. I forget the exact value, but a lot of that had... The reason why it's 2 hits and not 1 is just because of the way the health system works in the original Silent Hill 2. You don't die when your health goes to 0. You die when you get hit at 0 health. So, if you have 10 HP... and something hits you for 20 HP, in the original Silent Hill 2, it does not kill you. It puts you at 0. The next thing that hits you while you're at 0 kills you. So in the original Silent Hill 2, when Pyramid Head knocks you off the roof, it puts you at a value that's above 0, but where basically any attack, any damage you take will put you at 0. Meaning you'll just die in 2 hits. Here we are on the Brookhaven rooftop. Your ASMR rain to fall asleep to. And for those who haven't checked the YouTube channel, I did actually make that video. I set up the game, and I set up the camera. I took it out of bounds and put it up here with like a nice view of Brookhaven's roof, with everything animating, all the rain falling, the lights up here like flicker and turn off and on. And I let it run for like 12 hours and put it up on YouTube. So if you want to fall asleep or study, or you just need some white noise in the background, you can go to my YouTube channel and have 12 hours of this. Some nice calming Brookhaven rain sounds. You're welcome. One of those things that I brought up during our last stream, and mostly as a joke, but I decided to actually do it, and people enjoy it already. People have already left some comments, kind words, and genuinely appreciated it. So even if it was something that sort of started as a joke, people like it. I mean, it legitimately is a nice, like, kudos to Bloober for the rain sound effects and the ambient sound effects while you're up here. That distant thunder, the different textures of the rain, like hitting different things. You can hear it hitting the concrete roof. You can hear it hitting like the metal siding. So there's like a lot of different tones and sounds mixed in. You get the chain link fences, making that like metal kind of blowing in the wind. That little gentle metallic sound. They did an excellent job with the sound design for a lot of this. Varvik, that's the first video that pops up for you if you type Nub Zombie in YouTube search. Perfect. Way to go, algorithm. It's going to be really funny when people who are not part of the stream, or like who don't really watch my stuff, start finding that video. And they're going to start looking through my channel like, what other ambient rain sound videos does this channel have? And it's like, that's it. That's the one. Sorry. Everything else is just me rambling about Silent Hill for hours on end. Which, to be fair, a lot of people have said they put my stuff on for relaxing and sleeping, so maybe it'll still work out. So a lot of gamers say the rain is terrible in this game. I mean, it's good. As with anything, like, it could probably be better. Rain at night is a difficult effect to do because without lighting everything very, very specifically, that would be very, like, engine intensive. Normally, a lot of this rain, when you're, like, way out here away from light sources, it should kind of be too dark, where you're not hardly seeing the rain at all. So it looks a little bit bright. It should only really look like this when you're seeing it here, like next to a light source. But we're getting super nitpicky about it. They needed to have something that would work, that would still be sort of visually effective without being too graphic intensive. And I think it looks fine. They've got the water actually hitting and pooling and splashing on the ground. It's just a textured effect, but it's still effective. And it looks different depending on how deep the water is pooled, like what surfaces it's actually on. See, it doesn't happen up here because the player would not normally look up here at all. You wouldn't be able to have this view. So you can see it's just kind of like a ground texture that's going in tandem with the rain texture itself. So, I mean, again, if you want to be super nitpicky about it, it could be better. But I think just from a efficiency point of view, effectiveness, it's fine. It gives the effect. It gives the desired effect. And again, I think the sound design pulls it all together. The sound is so good. Yeah, you can, if you take the camera over to some of these places, you can see it's like, sometimes it splashes and stuff where it's not supposed to splash. But we're really going out of our way to, like, look for stuff to complain about when you get into those kind of things. I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you two things. The first thing, it definitely looks better than the rain in the original Silent Hill 2. Because that was a PS2 game, and they hardly ever used the rain effect in the original Silent Hill 2. The main time you see it is at the very end, when you get to the stairs leading up to the Mary boss fight. And it's one of those things where, like, if you're playing the enhanced edition on PC, it looks better. If you're playing the original on your PS2, like, it didn't look great. It was fine, but it didn't look great. It is PS2 rain. The second thing I will say is that Silent Hill Downpour, an entire game that is themed around rain and water effects, had worse looking rain. And that is not PS2 rain. It's PS3 rain. But by the time you get to PS3 360, you can do a lot more with rain and water effects and textures, especially for a game where the entire focus is supposed to be around that thematically. It should have been better. Downpour, I'll give it some credit. The wet texture effects on like clothing, like when you look at Murphy's jacket whenever he's running through the rain, very similar to the way James's looks here, where it gets darker and shinier. It looks like it's absorbing that moisture. The rain itself is affecting the way the clothing looks and moves. Downpour did that pretty well. But the actual rain effects themselves were kind of bad for a game, like I said, where that was supposed to be kind of the main focus. But yeah, we've got our fence, the broken fence here, which is where Pyramid Head knocks James down in the original Silent Hill 2. No rain down here, just a void. Oh, we can see the stairwell from outside. Kind of creepy coming down here. All the sound is gone. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes had the best rain I've ever seen in a game. Ground Zeroes. That is a good call on your part, Willboy. Some really nice rain effects and lighting to like really sell the rain effects. Ground Zeroes was so stunning when it came out. Man, that's one of those things. Metal Gear Solid. It's always been a big technology, like, pushing stuff to the limits of the hardware and the technology at the time. Something that Kojima, I feel, still really kind of prides himself on when you look at the way a lot of stuff looks in, like, Death Stranding. Another very visually appealing game. A lot of really nice weather effects, visual effects, sound design, actor likenesses. We've clipped back here where we're not supposed to be. I just wanted to take a look. Nothing rendered there. That's... I'm surprised the fence and everything actually does have collision. Feel like that was the last time a game's graphics really impressed me. Ground Zeroes. It's not like things haven't looked better since then, but Ground Zeroes really pushed that realism style to its limit. Yeah, I feel like certain games, especially for when they came out, compared to like everything else at the time. What's beyond the fence? What do you mean what's beyond the fence? We just clipped the camera out there. Are you guys even watching when you ask these things? Or is there something else you mean? See if there's collision up here. Oop. Well. That was not where we're supposed to be. let's clip back here. Let's go back inside. The rain noise is making us sleep. Fair. Some just listening and occasionally watching. True. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get so annoyed by it. 10 years of streaming and I still am just like not good at that. I'll sit here and focus and talk about something in detail, and then someone will ask about it immediately after I just went over it or looked at it or whatever. Let's go ahead and look at it, get our official little noise that we've examined it. That's on our part. I, as a streamer, should learn to not let that annoy me or ignore it altogether. Because logically, realistically, I know not everybody is... You're not looking at this the way I am looking at this, where I'm controlling it and my eyes are locked on. You guys, you have lives. This is just background video for a lot of you. You've got stuff on your other monitor, you're playing a game, you're doing work. You're doing your homework, or you're supposed to be doing your job, and instead you've got this open, and you've got Spotify playing, you know. You're not going to catch every single second of every single stream. Would have been cool if they did a faint sound of Pyramid Head's knife scraping the floor during the glimpse. That might be a step too far. I'm good with the glimpses to the past being just kind of the little visual, but some of them do have some unique audio, to be fair. Like the tunnel, the very first one. You can hear the OG radio sound effects playing at the very beginning of the game. The first tunnel, Glimpse of the Past. That kind of stuff would be neat. But I don't know. I also am a fan of things being more subtle. Can understand it's probably confusing for a new player. I mean, the glimpses to the past, I imagine, have to be confusing to new players just in general. I've already seen several posts on the Silent Hill subreddit where people are like, what is this? I can examine this thing, but it doesn't let me interact with it. It just plays a noise. What is this? What am I looking at? What's this supposed to be? Is this important? Is this for a puzzle? Like, they don't know what's going on. Page from a diary. As soon as we pick this up, I think... Oh, not yet. Not yet. Oh yeah, you can see the rain effect is localized entirely around James. It doesn't just go on forever. Actually, maybe that's just when we kind of pause where it shows that. Because once I put the world back into full animation, it does seem to extend. Or maybe once I start animating it it follows the camera and not James. Probably would have been better to have an I played the original setting that toggled the glimpses and such. That would have been interesting if it was just like a choice when you start the game. Like, have you played the original or have you not? And it slightly changes some of those little references and things so that they're not confusing for people. I'm a fan of those options. Like, anytime there are the chances to toggle things and kind of customize your experience, I'm a fan of that. More toggles, more options. The problem is, not every option works realistically and functionally. Like, I was one of the things when we were watching early gameplay before this game even came out. I was complaining about the little white circles to showing you like what you can interact with and things like that. And then the game came out and it was like, okay, there's a setting to turn all that off. So I turned all that off. The problem is when you're actually trying to interact with things, pick up items, look at save points, look at key things, even if you can tell what it is and you're pointing your camera like right at it, it your camera doesn't dictate whether or not you can interact with it or not. Sometimes your camera has to be a little bit up or a little bit down because they're expecting you to have that little icon there telling you if you're looking at something to where you can interact with it or not. So I started running into that problem in my first playthrough where I'm like, I'm looking right at this save point, but it won't let me interact with it. Because if you turn the icons on, you realize you're supposed to be tilting your camera just ever so slightly up or ever so slightly down. So it's nice that they gave the option to turn that sort of stuff off, but the game is designed around it being there. So it's like, the option is there, but it doesn't work the way it should. Your camera just does not line up right with the way that you would think it would. It doesn't, even if you have it perfectly centered on something, that's not always what the game is looking for you to interact. So they would have needed to rework how the camera is and rework item interactions and hitboxes, and that would have been a whole lot more effort to make that option of toggling off the interactable icons and stuff like that work the way it really should. So I don't know. I'm a fan of having more toggles and more options, but they also need to be, there needs to be troubleshooting to make sure that the game will still work no matter how you have it set up. And there he is. Let's go ahead and let this play. Let the game world move. So after you pick up the note and finish reading it, sorry we didn't really read it, but we've read it before. We've seen story playthroughs. But I like that he's just out here, rendered, and waiting for you to go through the door. Such a nice gentleman waiting for us to collect our thoughts. You know, that was a thing in the original Silent Hill 2 as well. So this sequence is different. In the original Silent Hill 2, you didn't go in here, you didn't pick up that diary. The diary was sort of over here. And then you would go and try to leave. The door would be locked. You'd go and examine the fence. And then Pyramid Head would spawn in and knock you through the fence. So that's the way the Brookhaven rooftop would play out in the OG. But if you were examining the fence and the text was still up, like you were still reading as James examined the fence, Pyramid Head would spawn in and then just sort of like walk in circles right here and wait for you to finish reading. And then once the text was gone, then he would attack you. So here you go. He's still courteous. He still waits. Is this after the prison? We're nowhere near the prison, Lloyd. We're still in Brookhaven. Let's zoom the camera perspective, get our POV zoomed out a bit so we can get a little bit different view on this cutscene. We can also ever so slightly open the door. Oh, well, there's the inside of James's face. But even without a cam hack, you can very, very slightly open this door and get a view of Pyramid Head. Nice little touch. Now you can see the water effect dripping off of his helmet all the way down the like elevator shaft. And now we're on the side of Brookhaven where Laura was drawing. Originally we were on that side of the door. We've already clipped the camera over here. You can see the actual elevator. Is there collision in here? Can I teleport in? Oh, is my teleport function broken? Gotta take a screenshot. There we go. It always breaks OBS for some reason, but it fixes the controls. Or are my controls just broken? I can teleport James around, but I can't teleport him into this elevator. The anti-James elevator, for some reason. Can we teleport back onto the roof? We can go back up. Oh, look at that. The floor texture changes to show the broken boards, but the collision's still there. But yeah, it won't actually let me place James inside the elevator shaft. Laura's drawing. Angry dog or wolf watching the two bunnies. So Laura draws herself and Mary kind of as these bunnies, and is depicting James as like the angry wolf, angry dog chasing them. Gotta bust all the mirrors. Just to check if there's stuff hiding. Start looking through this office. Maybe behind one of the mirrors is Minmo? Maybe. I just find it so strange that, like, there's one place with one mirror where you can shoot it and it breaks and reveals a painting. And then nowhere else. At least so far. Also, surprisingly, a lot of stuff inside the locker, the nurse's cap and everything. Little details that you can't see anyway. More straight jackets. Go ahead and save it. just in case we fall into a void or game crashes or anything weird. More nurses' caps. Same bottles and things. Mop and bucket, but this one's much older. White. I like how earlier we saw kind of like a more modern, like yellow plastic mop and bucket versus these like old rusted metal type. Sort of these different eras of environment assets and things. I do love the way they kind of make all of these sort of time aspects very non-specific, because Brookhaven has existed since the 1800s, so you kind of get little glimpses of somewhat more modern medical devices, and even just something like the mop and bucket, compared to stuff that's clearly from much longer ago. Our padded cell. Actual locked one. Let's teleport in. Pretty sure it's not really any different, but now we're actually locked in a padded cell. This one with the blood. Our little callback to OG Silent Hill 2. Turn, turn, turn the numbers. You can still kind of vaguely see some of the numbers, very similar to the way that they were written in the original Silent Hill 2 as well. This was part of the puzzle itself, and it would change depending on the difficulty that you were playing on in the OG Silent Hill 2. So you'd have to open up a box that belonged to Joseph Barkin, one of the patients in Brookhaven, in order to get a strand of hair. And to get that, you had to get 2 keys and 2 numerical codes. And one of those codes was this one, written in blood. And depending on the difficulty that you were playing on, it would actually make the bloody smudged numbers harder to read. So like the 2 on a harder difficulty was drawn in such a way that it kind of looked like it could be maybe like a 7 or a 9. Stuff like that, where some of the digits were a little bit harder to read than others. Is there a hole up top? You mean from like out here, where you would have fallen through in the original game? Got some plaster and flickery textures coming down, but no actual hole. There was a hole here. It's gone now. You get it? Zoom out the perspective to an absurd degree for when we watch this Laura cutscene. It's a very stiff bear.
Laura.
And it was clipping.
なんで名前知ってんの？
エリーに聞いた。
なんなのもうあのおしゃべり豚。
ローラ、どうして逃げ回るんだ？なんでメアリーを知ってる？
なんでもだよ。別にいいじゃない。
教えてくれないか？
言わなかったらブツ？
まさか。豚ない。だから教えてくれ。
友達になったの。去年入院してた時。
嘘をつくな。ローラ、すまない。ただ。
いいよ、信じないんでしょ。勝手にすれば。
おい。
話してよ。
悪かった。でも駆け回るな。怪我するぞ。
なんで怪我すんの？
なあ、とにかく子供一人じゃ危ない。そばにいるんだ。
分かった。でも行きたいところがあるの。
ローラ、
大切なの。
どうしても。
手紙。メアリーからの。
え？
隠したの。あの中に。
ここに隠したのか？
ずっと奥の方。パイプの後ろ。
ここで待ってて。ローラ。ドアを開けろ。
どうせ私は嘘つきなんでしょ。開けてほしい。開けてほしいでしょ。
ローラ、ドアを開けろ。早く。
お願いしますわ。
ローラ。
ダメ、そんなんじゃ開けてあげないよ。
ローラ、ふざけるな。
やだよ、ジェームスのバカ。
ローラ、ドアを開けてくれ。何かいるんだ。
いるよね、バカジェームスがね。じゃあね、バカ。
ローラ、ローラ。
The floating flashlight. All right, flesh lips time. Nora also asked, does the "there was a hole here" text have any meaning, or is it just creepy text? Masahiro Ito was asked about it, and he said, there was a hole here, but it's gone now. If I remember correctly, it was by the modeler artist of the structure, Takeshi Miura, or the writer Owaku, Hiroyuki Owaku, not me. But I love this, because it's like this told James that he had already had no place to hide himself. So that was Ito's interpretation. But if Ito is just giving his interpretation, and it was likely done by Miura, the environment artist, or Owaku, the scenario writer, it was probably meant to just be something that you can apply your interpretation to. Lots of people can take it in different ways. Some people take it as a meaning behind James's alcoholism. He turned towards alcohol when he couldn't deal with Mary's illness. That's a detail of his character, of the story, in the original Silent Hill 2. If you examine some empty alcohol bottles in Heaven's Night, James talks about how he used to drink quite a bit to deal with the pain and loneliness after Mary was ill. So some people use the "there was a hole here, it's gone now" to mean like James filling that void with alcohol, since you find it in Neely's bar. Some people thought that it was a reference to traveling through the holes like you do in Silent Hill 4, but I really don't accept that one. Silent Hill 4 was not in the works. It was not part of the thought process when Silent Hill 2 was being developed. The series wasn't planned out like that. So, a lot of people have their own takes and interpretations on that sort of stuff. Oh, look at the stitching on the side for the grippy socks, the leggings of Flesh Lips. The lips themselves, which look a lot like Mary's. Like, it looks like Mary's mouth. It's very similar to Salome Gunner's daughter's mouth and lip shape. Even with the little sores and stuff that Mary had in the late stages of her illness. And the hand holding onto the bar, just sort of clipping through. Can we put James up here above the roof? Oh, we can. We're literally on the roof by going through here. Probably shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh. Oh. Boss music ended. Well, I mean, now we're outside. We can actually see the lock when Laura locked him in. It's still there. The sound, like randomly cutting in and out. It's too bad it's so dark. You can see, let's see, like the animations while it's above. Those like grunting, wheezing noises as it moves around. Go. For those who don't know this trick, you can aim for the hand and shoot it to get flesh lips to drop down. Ooh, that sound change. Nope. Little leggies. Arm, very reminiscent of kind of like the pyramid head arm, but the fingers are all separated. Similar like white gloves, similar skin color. Excuse me. But unlike Pyramid Head and the nurses, they've got all of their fingers and everything instead of it being a fused glove around this part of the hand. Let's let it play. Look at some of these animations. And it just goes right back up. Oh, got it. As it's jumping back up to the ceiling. Got the arm extended. And going into the next phase. Where the cage starts to come apart into claws. Spikes. Looks like a mannequin limb. Looks like the little stumpy ends of the mannequins. See how it's got the, like, scratches and stuff on that side? I love how you can see the tiles and everything move where it is. Can they grab you in Remake? I can't remember if they have that attack. They definitely kick you. It slaps. Also the music, I kind of broke the music. Whoops. Yeah, in the OG Silent Hill 2, they could grab you and, like, strangle you with their feet. The unique death scene in the OG scared me when I was like 10, 11. Raptor Maid. That's such a cool scene. Yeah, in the original Silent Hill 2, if you die when the flesh lips would strangle you, it would drop down and it would strangle you with its legs. If James died to that attack, they would drag him along the ceiling and then up. You would watch his lifeless corpse get dragged off into the ceiling. It was super creepy. Full spider phase. Oh, I like the arm. Just sort of limp on the side while the spikes are doing the work now. The cage is completely broken off. The mouth is getting like gross and bloody, or not even bloody, it's this like black ooze. Kind of similar to what we saw on the door and on James's hand after Saul Street Apartments. A random little bit coming out on this side, like mannequin stump. So cool the way they do the environmental stuff in this game. They actually have it like breaking through the ceiling and breaking out the ceiling tiles, and then during this phase it can break through this whole wall, like open up the entire arena into this other little part of the hospital. I don't mind taking some extra damage here just to like look at some of these animations. See everything that this boss does. It has Mary's ring, I think. Same that you can see in the videotape. What do you mean ring? In the cutscene after it's dead? Do you mean like a wedding ring? Like a ring on this hand, or what? Can you be a little bit more specific about what you mean, Blue Blood? Because that's kind of the point of the playthrough. We can closely look at it, try to examine it as much as we can, if there's any sort of details like that. On the hand, but I don't think it shows now. Okay. Yeah, definitely nothing like that on it, on the model yet. So we'll try and pay attention to that on the death cutscene. So many stabs. I mean, we can see the hand pretty clearly from here. I don't see a ring. And then there's the other one. Little callback to the original Silent Hill 2 Flesh Lips boss fight, where there's more than one. You actually fight 3 of them total, if I remember correctly. Then we got our Jacob's Ladder hospital scene, basically.
James.
There's a few scenes in Silent Hill 2 that are just like very deliberately, very heavily inspired by shots from film. James in the closet is taken from Blue Velvet, and this scene here is taken from Jacob's Ladder. And now we're in the tiny little walled-off garden. The Otherworld. A little transition into the proper Otherworld Brookhaven. Oh, look at that. We can already see everything else here that's rendered in. I just kind of wanted a cool shot of James in the little tiny garden. That's a good picture. This game really, really needs a native camera mode. Like, it's nice having the mod and being able to get some cool shots and stuff with it, but this game needs a built-in photo mode. Let it play. You can let all the little particles in the environment dance around. Let's also just take this time to look over James's character model. Can still see that mark on his finger where his wedding ring was. Nails on this hand are still clean. So the model is not too distinctly changed at this point, beyond what we've already been seeing. Now we are in proper Otherworld Brookhaven. Brookhaven Hospital. Treatment evaluation card. Patient number 3141, designation 298.9. Room number smudged. Initial symptoms: hyperfocus. Current diagnosis: they can be fixed. Recommendations: stop at nothing. No turning back now. Hyperfocus equals cam hack? Yeah, exactly. That's us. We're the hyper-focused ones. And at this point, I'm willing to say there's probably no cure. Unfortunately, I'm just going to be obsessed with this series until I die. Love that you have the piano keys rendered inside the pianos. Stuff we've already seen, but still cool to look at. Also, I love the lighting and the setup here visually for the wheelchair. Very Silent Hill 3 with this particular type of lighting and setup. Very Silent Hill 3-esque. Or as some fans would call it, Session 9-esque. Even though that was a complete coincidence. Masahiro Ito has said that they the devs weren't aware of Session 9. Even though there is a somewhat similar visual with similar lighting and wheelchair in both Silent Hill 3 and Session 9. It's so similar that a lot of fans just assumed the devs must have done it as an inspiration or influence. But Ito confirmed they were not, it was not something they were influenced by. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just get coincidentally similar imagery. That's why it's never a good idea to just kind of assume that something inspired or influenced some aspect of these games. Unless a developer says so, which the devs are very open about what they're fans of, what they took inspiration from. So unless like a dev says it, or it's part of, you know, a piece of supplementary material like the Lost Memories guide and that kind of thing. Best not to assume. Really great imagery here. Very similar to some of the imagery of the original Silent Hill 2 after the Brookhaven, or after the Flesh Lips fight. You're in the Brookhaven garden and everything. The layout and everything is quite different. But this little setup here of the chain link fence with the save point and the rusted metal fan strung up with barbed wire behind it. One of the visuals taken straight from OG Silent Hill 2. It's a damn good one. You can actually see where we're at. There's the pool area. All this stuff is rendered in. Locker room and showers. All on the opposite side here. Got yet another clock with 10 past 9. Get a good shot of the... I want to turn the... Get rid of the icon. I just like looking at the save points up close. Like someone's groping around inside my skull. Oh, it still has the icon. Oh, the icon is camera-based, not James-based. That's why. Did I break it again? Did I break my controls by tabbing out? There we go. Never noticed it actually moved? Yep. These are animated. They just sort of swirl and churn around. very subtle effect when you're looking at it with like the normal perspective. 12 hours of save square. Maybe one day. Oh, the fan is also moving. We also have the metal fan back here, like slowly rotating. Inside the locker room, we'll eventually come around and open this up. Patients will become the diagnosis scheduled for them when they'll make recovery, as my aim is always for the entire personnel, especially when their symptoms will become receding with effective treatment. Signed, M. SEP, S-E-P, S-E-P something. Nope. Doesn't go there. Things are not rendered. Front lobby area. Things are kind of like rendering in, depending on where the camera goes. Stuff is just sort of popping in and out of existence. Inside the pharmacy. Hey, there's the elevator game show puzzle box. And we can clip into it. See all the nice red velvet lining in it. Dirty syringes and shotgun shells. My favorite. Curious. I'm gonna see if I can. Nope. 1 second. Trying to fix the controls, and it always seems to break the capture. There we go. Clip in here before we're supposed to be here. Does give the interact prompt. Or the puzzle box. It's 313, I think, in the OG. I can't remember if Remake is the same. Because I know the questions are different. Let me pull up notes real quick. Elevator quiz. Yeah, the questions are different. So they ask how many souls were lost during the plague in Silent Hill, which is on the memorial statue in Rosewater Park. Which is 67 lost to illness, lost to the plague. What road will take you from Sanders Street to the lumberyard was question 2. Which is Wilt's Road. And Billy Locane was one of 2 children. What was Billy's sister? That was Miriam Locane. You're a fan of Silent Hill 4, that should be the easiest one for you. Billy and Miriam Locane are play a little bit bigger role in Silent Hill 4 as 2 of Walter Sullivan's previous victims, but that originally was part of this note about Walter Sullivan in Silent Hill 2 that they expanded upon when it came time to write Silent Hill 4. They just sort of picked little bits of lore that they could expand on. But that's also what helped, or I don't know if helped is the right word, but that's also what led a lot of fans to thinking that, like, oh, Silent Hill 4 was already in the works when Silent Hill 2 was made. It's like, no. They weren't planning that far ahead. They took information and expanded on it, wrote more about it. "231" would be the solution for Remake. So 2, 3, 1. And it works. Interesting that that's not tied to the actual elevator event. You would think that the box wouldn't spawn in, or wouldn't be interactable, or the code wouldn't work. There's so many other ways to like lock this off behind event triggers. But no, the only thing preventing you is this door being closed. Yeah, you can even kind of see it from the wheelchair room if you're looking through the wall there. Some new models of fridges. We haven't looked inside. It's always crazy how much detail there is in these things. Like, normally you can't look in them hardly at all. But they still have the, like, temperature control and the metal grates, these little plastic trays and stuff in there. Hey, Chaos Joe, welcome. Hope you're having a good night, good evening so far, or whatever time it may be for you. Without just teleporting around, pretty much everything we can have access to. Oh, we've got our nurse over here. Already got enemies spawned in, even in parts that we can't get to yet. Where the mold remover was. Little kitchen area. Hopefully in the next game they improve the combat. I mean, this is Bloober's first time really doing combat. So if Bloober was to make another game, they'll probably do a bit better with it. Chronos: The New Dawn, their new original game, seems to be a bit more action-heavy. So they may have utilized some of the things they learned from this, and we might get an idea of how they handle combat in something like that when that game comes out. pause while we're riding on the elevator. Yeah, that's an old video game thing. A lot of times elevators in games are not actually doing what you think they're doing. You're just sort of teleporting to a new place. Like, the area around you has already changed. They just make you stand in there for a little while to give the impression that you're traveling upward or downward. Also, James is just twirling in circles on his own. I'm not doing that input. I'm controlling the camera right now. He's just having fun. Is this the elevator that didn't work and was sparking in the fog world? Yeah. So, like, this would be the nurse's station. So, normally, in the fog world version of Brookhaven, you would approach from, like, this side. Remember, we stopped and, like, looked around in this room. There was a Francisco Goya painting, The Witches in Flight, or something like that. I don't remember the exact title of it. On this wall here, you come in this way, and this is where you encounter the first nurse. She comes out from this hallway right here. So this is the Otherworld version of this area. And this was the broken elevator. Water. These old water fountains. Haven't seen water fountains like that since I was in high school. I'm sure they're still in places, but I don't know, maybe not. Clip in and see the box. Box itself is there. Interior of the box is rendered, along with the spoiler that it's empty. A game I recall making the elevator actually move while you're in it is Left 4 Dead. Yeah, Left 4 Dead had elevators functionally move, and that was a big part of... I remember that was a big part of the multiplayer. I used to play a lot of Left 4 Dead multiplayer versus mode. So if you were playing the Infected, the elevator was like a good choke point. But I think you could actually like get on top of it when it was moving as Hunter if you pounced at the right time. snatching someone as the doors close. Yeah. If you were playing Smoker or Jockey, grabbing someone as the doors closed, and Charger, I remember there was like a window in the hallway next to where the elevator would stop. And you could charge somebody right out of the window and just insta-kill them. Stop, you're giving me PTSD. Left 4 Dead was so much fun. I spent a lot of time with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Great games. Efficient. Covers and stuff on top of the computers, but it's the same computer model. You can tell from the sticker. Oh, yeah, there we go. You can even clip in a little bit. 1-3. I like that it's not just a cover or a new asset altogether. Same asset is there underneath the sheets and the blankets. Do not drop. Is that a message to James? Every time he encounters a hole. How we can see the chained, bloody box. Rest of it going down here into the floor. Maybe one day Gaben will give us Left 4 Dead 3? Everybody knows Valve can't count to 3. I will say it's a shame that Back 4 Blood kind of died the way it did. Because I really enjoyed Back 4 Blood. I was having a lot of fun with that game. It was definitely scratching the old Left 4 Dead itch. But in classic Warner Brothers games fashion, they patched out the fun. And Added a bunch of transactional shit to it. And then stopped supporting it. So it just kind of died. Shame. There was a lot of hype, but died very quickly. I mean, I knew a lot of people who were super into it when it first came out. My good friend Maxi Lobes was speedrunning it, and there was a lot of fun stuff. There was fun tech. And they decided that, like, all of the fun movement tech and, like, skill-based aspects of movement and things, they were like, no, we gotta patch all that out. And so they did. And when you take away, like, skill gap stuff like that, you really kill the longevity of games. And then, yeah, just not enough new stuff fast enough. They couldn't keep up with trying to add more to it. And they kept taking away fun things that the player base liked. So, player base just kind of fell off. Again, I was having fun with it. I was streaming it. Yeah, the lack of mod support and stuff like that. I was having so much fun with that game. I said I was streaming it and playing it pretty frequently with friends. The card aspect, like building your characters and unlocking cards and doing different builds, was so fun. That game had so much potential, just wasted. Same wheelchair in the stall that we saw in the Fogworld version of Brookhaven. Here we got one of those more modern, I was talking about the mops and buckets. There's like the rusty old style metal ones, and then the slightly more modern, like yellow plastic ones. I hate these things. Had quite a few jobs where I had to mop floors with these. Nothing hiding behind mirrors. Yeah, exactly, DeBoy Bob. The top piece would always fucking fall off. This right here. You'd put the mop in here to start squeezing out the water. And this part would just fucking fall off. Or tip the whole bucket if you were super unlucky. nurse. Just waiting over there for James to make progress. Sorry, lady. We got a lot of stuff to look at. But it's probably going to wait until tomorrow night.